What's up, Valerie? Keith, how you doing? Good to see you guys. Gypsy Vikings. Where's the chat? I need the chat. This is media assets, comments. There we go. I know we have a private chat here. Okay. Cool. Interesting. This is all new information. How you doing, Van Dweller? Good to see you. Dr. Quilcuriotti? Greg, how are you, brother? Okay. Apologies for some of the beeps. Fortunately, that's the best we can do. Lindsay. By the way, Lindsay, when I was trying to send the Zoom meeting recording, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I couldn't find your email for some reason. Is that correct? You did not get the recording, right? And if you didn't, please re-email me to Laser Simulation X because I just couldn't find your email for some reason, which is strange. Or I couldn't associate the one that is correct to you. I want to make sure that I send you the Zoom meeting. David Connor. Let's see what we got here. Right. Welcome, everybody. Ambient Glass in the house. Every time I try to talk to you, you go live. I don't know how to break it to you, Ambient Glass, but you, but you tend to make things about you a lot. So the reason is because I don't check my social all day. So in the time that I about to go live, so I engage with the computer. I don't sit on my computer all day, otherwise I will go insane. That's the time where I'm both responding to as many people as I possibly can and going on live at the same time. So also I'm responding to you all the time, which is rare. Just so you know, it's truly rare. I don't respond to social media messages, but I respond to yours. Okay. Mom 19046, how are you? Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Down to one health. Kel TikTok, what are you talking about? First of all, great to see you. But also One Health. I understand the metaphor from gaming, but what do you mean by that specifically? Here, I'll send you an invite just in case you want to come on. Oh, you use a different email for Zoom. Okay, now I understand. Great.
Hey, what's up, Danny?
How are you, brother? Good to hear from you.
Doing well. Yeah, I was just talking about the beeping, like in Zelda.
Oh, that's really funny. Hopefully, that would be hilarious if if I croak right now.
No way.
No way. Oh man. Well, yeah.
What is that though? What's beeping?
It's the alarm. So my fiance's parents are visiting, and we have a full house. So I don't want to stream from home because everybody's trying to sleep, and I have a booming voice. So I went down to the office and in the building, and there's an alarm going off all day. So that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I'm so happy that you're here. I know it's after your bedtime. After 9, there's no usually joining. But
I'm not working tomorrow, so that's all good.
Oh, that's dope, man. Yeah, I've been thinking about you because we've been Nico have been helping. He was helping me with arranging the papers in a proper way so we can submit them to a few people. And there's also some stuff that I'm doing with the software developer, trying to reconstruct some of the stuff that I see in the space to see if we can build something coherent that actually gives rise to three-dimensional spaces. So I immediately thought of you because I know you also do software development. So I'm working on getting a budget for the project soon, and when I will, I'll talk to you. We'll see, maybe I can incorporate some of your skills in this. That would be great.
Yeah, I'll help as much as I can.
Yeah. No, I know you're a
so-
busy guy, but I'm trying to get as many people with the right kind of energy involved as well. And again, that's why I'm trying to work on a budget, so it's also something that is worth people's while. When you do software development, I remember you told me you just do full stack, right? Basically everything.
I'm mostly in healthcare, so I work with like large healthcare data sets.
Got it.
So it's different than I think what you may need, which is more graphical and
No, not necessarily. There's a lot of data analysis involved.
okay.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, if
can
it's
I can
a
I
lot
can
of
share
data,
some of the stuff with you, and then you can tell me if that can be a fit.
Sure. Yeah. Always happy to help. Just let me know.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. Please stay. I'm not kicking you out. I'm just saying I'm gonna do a short intro real quick. If you have to jump off, of course, feel free. But yeah, just making sure that you don't think I'm telling you to get off. Please stay as much as you
Oh
want.
no, that's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to Simulation Talk 141. The channel that revolves around the simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming to have found actual proof that we live in a simulation. And we meet here. I used to say every day. Now it's almost every day, simply because truly the amount of things that are required of me at this point, they're kind of a little overwhelming, and I welcome it, and I feel very grateful. And slowly I will stabilize back into a normal schedule, and I'll be able to show up every day again. So now I'm obligated to say we meet up here almost every day to discuss both the experiment that I've devised a few years ago, now a couple of new experiments, and as well as science in general, religion, spirituality, philosophy, God, whatever comes to mind. And we have a beautiful growing community. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, which is Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts, I have the longer version videos of everything you see here on TikTok, or you can follow the link tree in my description. Omar, thank you so much for becoming part of the team. And I've added a members program on YouTube, which allows you to have early access to all my content on YouTube, as well as Zoom calls. Depending on from the second tier up, you get Zoom calls with me and the member groups, with the group members, and as well as private Zoom calls of higher tiers. Gives you a lot of fun perks, and I'm adding a bunch of videos from my personal life as well. Lindsay, thank you so much for all the love. And yeah, and it allows me to focus on this project more and more full time, which helps tremendously. By the way, Kel, do you know anything about these rankings on TikTok? Again, it's my OCD and nothing else. I actually don't care. I just don't. I want to know, like I want to understand. Like it was stuck on. Like it went back. I stopped streaming every day, and it already went to like the B ranking or whatever, and then or no, the end of C, and now it went to D2 and stays there at exactly the same place no matter what I do, no matter how much I stream. Do you have any idea how that works?
I don't know exactly how it works, but I think it has to do with how many taps you're getting, how many likes, and then it'll bump you up a league depending on that.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not moving at all. It feels like it's stuck. Like it used to move all the time depending on the engagement. Now, no matter what, even after a really good live, it makes no difference. It doesn't move. I guess I'll just email TikTok and I'll ask them what's up there. What's going on there? Okay, let me engage with some of the people on YouTube. The YouTube channel, once again, is Dango Thoughts. Oh, Ebony, once again, gifted 5 lucky winners of membership on YouTube. Ebony does that. Thank you so much. Deeply appreciate you, Ebony. And the last name fits, McKickass. I know it's not your. Is that your actual last name? Because if it is, that's amazing. But I'm pretty sure this is. And
Is that the same Ebony that's been on the Discord?
yes, yeah, Jesus.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Ebony.
Shout out to Ebony. Thank you so much, Ebony. And Ben. Well, Devin does the same, even though he shows up as Ben on our chats. And deeply appreciate all the people that are so generous and contributing. it really does help tremendously because it helps the community to grow and get to engage with a lot more awesome people more personally. So thank you for that. Let's see. Can you please tell me about, oh, wait. I'm super amped as well. Dr. Quirky Lot. It's also, I don't know how you wrote it this way, but it's dope. Here we go. Can you please tell me about the time you saw a Mentis being? I mean, I've seen them quite a bit. It's a bit of a thank you, Omar. It's a bit of a too general of a question. I mean, we see them all the time. I don't find necessarily the different kinds of beings as significant as the situation that everything happened in and the space that it occupied. If I have to give it a very wild guess, from what I understand, the praying mantises, they have some kind of a managerial position, but I don't know too much about the specifics. So I'm going to try not to say things because it already sounds wild. Imagine somebody just joining the chat, don't know what we're talking about, and I'm talking about a praying mantis being in managerial positions without the ability to explain anything too in depth. I feel like that's kind of betraying good taste. So I'll refrain from talking too deeply about that for now, at least until there's more information. Okay. And also, Ebony, I got your message on Discord. Thank you so much for everything and for your experimentation and for your report. I will read it today. And I responded to you on Discord. Hopefully you saw my message. Can you please tell me about the time you saw Mantis that we got? Bought the ingredients to brew up some molecule. I'm going to use the laser in January. Amazing, David. Let me know. Ian is saying, good to see you again, bro. Good to see you too, brother. If I want you to go public, I mean, sure. I have no secrets, brother. I don't know what exactly you're referring to, but yeah. Then is there a way to contact ETs through the laser? You can contact them in the molecule space. Through the laser, it seems to be more coding for just basically the physical environment that we're in. Core fam, hands yellow. Don't say I make it about because I truly want to help you. So ambient glass, I told you this before, brother. I'm not misinterpreting you. I am reading your behavior. So I think you're misinterpreting me. What I'm saying is that if you want to help me, you need to pay attention to what I'm saying that I need help with. And the thing is that all the messages that you texted me, they're around topics that either are not my main focus at that moment. So you basically require more time of mine to pay attention to something else than what I actually care about in that moment. So that's not helping me. The second thing is you raise certain concerns around issues that I simply don't think anybody needs to be concerned around, which is, and if anything, it's not, again, the way that I'm going about things, that's not helping. So if you want to actually help me, and I believe that that's what you really want to do, try and listen to what I'm saying that I actually need versus the things that you think might be helpful to me. And it's possible that you might bring information to my attention that I didn't consider or might be helpful. But for the most part, if we just shoot in all directions in all the different possible ways that things might be doable or actionable or whatever it is, we're never going to get out of it. Considering the fact that I'm now inundated with so much information and I'm trying my best to try and steer the whole project in directions that are useful and productive, more information for the sake of more information is not helpful to me. That's just the naked truth. So that's what I'm trying to tell you all the time. So, and then what you're doing now, right? So it's like this back and forth, which is, I mean, you've been a part of the community for a long time and I appreciate you deeply. But in the end of the day, the more you steer my attention towards away from the things that matter to me in that moment, unless these things can actually take full front and center and I can see the clear path there and all of that, it's at the moment, it's not helpful to me. So that's what I'm trying to say. So I know you want to help and I understand the mission and I appreciate it, but I guess, listen to what I'm trying to say, which is at the moment, I'm not really sure what most people can help with. And the ones that I know what they can help with, I'm telling them. So if, unless I told you otherwise, you feel free to share information and I will always welcome it. But if I don't respond to you, or like if I jump on a live and then I also respond to you, which I barely respond to anybody else, and your reaction to be on the live is, isn't it crazy how how is it possible that every time you respond to me when you go on a live, as if like I'm ignoring you or something, or maybe I'm misreading it, but that's what it comes across. And then it becomes uncomfortable. It becomes unnecessary. And it becomes like it's a weird dynamic that I don't want to be in. Do you understand? So it's not a personal thing. There's like a million people that are trying to get my attention, and I appreciate people in the community, but I really need you to understand that, which is that if you make it into this personal thing where like, oh, you're ignoring me, I was like that, it gets weird, man. It gets weird and it gets uncomfortable. And if you didn't mean it that way, know that that's how it comes across to me. So we can talk about this, but everybody in this community that know me by now, they know I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very open, and it makes me uncomfortable when people talk like that, because so then I have two choices: just ignore the person entirely, which I don't want to do that. But the way I'm dealing with all of this is that all the things that people talk about that we need to be concerned or fear, okay, that's out of my world. I'm not interested in that. You want to talk about theories about like some dangerous things and like this big thing, and that's fine. Everybody entitled to doing that. I'm not interested. I'm not interested to be scared from anything, worried about anything. I'm following what feels right to me in that instance, and that's what I'm doing. So again, you and I can chat it out, but you bringing it into the chat, brother, and I'm at this point, I feel obligated to tell you that. Just want to let you know, I enjoy these talks. Makes me feel free. Every day usually looks like. Wait. Well, I'm glad it makes you feel free. I can't talk much right now, but the pattern the lasers are set up is just like how we came to be. A singular point, dimensions are mirrors coded. I've seen another dimensional being before. Thank you for sharing. Hey, Dan, and everyone. I'm the same age as you, Dan, and also a massive McKenna head. Listened obsessively during a period of my life. Would love to hear you talk about this influence on you. Thank you for that. That actually, I'm always happy to talk about Terence. He was a huge influence on me, and in fact, some of the portion for the movie, there's a segment that I'm working on now. So most of the movie is Aaron. He's just out of this world, incredible, and all the work that he does is just I can't be more grateful. But this one segment specifically about the molecule, I'm going to be working on it, and then Aaron obviously is going to put his final touches on. And one of the ways I'm going about it is to talk more about how Terence influenced me. And I think Terence, one of the things that I think he doesn't get enough credit for, or at least nowadays he doesn't, which is that people sometimes say he wasn't scientific enough. I completely disagree. I think he was more scientific than most people that call themselves scientists. The way that I view science as a whole is basically the enterprise of human understanding. And if we want to include all the possible genres of knowledge and try and combine them together in a way that is not just useful, coherent, but also inspiring, I mean, I don't know anybody that did that better than Terence. The fact that most people, or even most scientists, define at the moment science in this super narrow way of just the things that we can measure with external instruments and verify, I just think that's wrong. Not wrong in the sense of like they're doing something wrong. I think they're just confused. That's not what science is. People say, well, what do you mean? Like science, somebody might say, well, what do you mean? Like science is defined by however we do it. I don't think so. I think things have an ultimate version, and the ultimate version of what science is, if it's allowed to grow, is just the enterprise of understanding for that species, right? And then you bring any modality you can possibly bring in order to make this happen, which is understand the world, understand yourself in relationship to the world. What does that mean? All of that stuff. I asked Lev Levitin in a conversation that I've had with him on my channel, he's a pretty, pretty seminal. He wrote seminal papers in the 70s of computational science, and he was a big name in that world. And I asked him about that. I asked him, why do we define science so narrowly? And he said, oh, it's very simple. It's funding. That's it. And I said, wait, are you serious? This is the main reason as to why we define it this narrowly? He said, yeah. And he understood exactly what I meant. He said, I know exactly what you're saying. I understand that you see it in the sense that, what science needs to be, which is just the free range of knowledge growing and in an unbounded kind of way. But because we have to prove to a certain extent what would be the utility of a certain direction of investigation, we are obligated basically to define these very narrow channels, because that's the only way we can show on paper potentially what can be, even if in something that is highly theoretical, what would be the potential benefits even far in the future. And because of that, that's how most scientists that are trained as scientists believe science is, which is that they take this very narrow channel and they say that is science because we can measure it, and then they get confused, and then they confuse the tools with the actual craft of what science really is. I think science is a creative process that involves very accurate tools, and the degree to which you can substantiate something, a creative thought that you've had, to track what reality is doing, that's what science is. I guess the only difference between philosophy and science is that philosophy deals with logical perturbations of ideas and how they evolve in the world and how they're applied to different domains, and that's a very fluid space, but it's not infinite. So you have certain rules by which you can move, and other ways by which you cannot move. But it's not as tethered to the physical world as we would define a lot of sciences to be. But I would say that, take the most concrete science like physics, for example, and this ties directly to Terence, right? For example, one time Terence had this rant about, the absurdity of the physicists who accept the Big Bang, which is essentially saying, just give me one miracle, which is everything from nothing, and I'll give you everything else. Well, fine, but you don't get to then dictate what other original axioms make more or less sense than that one that you asked to be accepted. And that's absolutely true. And somehow Terence being criticized for that. But that is absolutely true. So even in physics, where there is this level of rigor and where rubber hits the road kind of element, you still, all these frames around what we think is going on according to our calculations, they are creative processes. And some of these stories, some of these theories are mapping what reality is doing better than others. And those are the ones that we consider more seriously. But in the end of the day, don't forget that reality itself is doing what it's doing, and it's working without any of our theories. So all of these frames that we're putting on it, they can be useful, but notice that all of them at the moment, some of them even completely disagree, like quantum field theory and Einstein's field equations, right? They disagree on many levels. So which one is correct? Well, they're useful tools. The story is a useful tool. So I would say that if the fact that Terence inspired so many minds to think in these outlandish, out there ideas in spaces, and like embark on these crazy journeys, and then at the same time come back with something that is tangible, applicable to both linguistically and even like the fact that these are actual beings that are not just what we call in our minds, right? That thought sounds very straightforward, but it's only when it actually clicked in my brain into this place of like full certainty, only then it started talking to me in a different way. So this certainty is sometimes missing from certain domains of understanding. And I think Terence was a master at emphasizing that and giving people the courage to think like that. He definitely gave me the courage to think like that. He said one of my biggest gripes with you know the entire spiritual supermarket is how little they emphasize the fact that it's real, like real. We're not talking about metaphorical, because I think most people kind of nod their heads when they hear people talk about, yogis talk about all these other dimensions. Even if they accept it to some degree, there's no there's no certainty there. There's no like actual conviction that this is real. And then people come along and say things like, well, what do you mean by real? I'm like, come on, you know what I mean by real, as in existing just like you, and it exists on its own side, even without you looking at it. And it sounds like such a simple idea. And yet, even today, you have so much argumentation around this very simple point. Is it real or is it not real? And people doing all these mental flips around its subject matter without actually addressing what it is. So I have to say that this conviction, when you know that you know, and putting your right foot forward, and there's a I don't remember if he was quoting somebody else or he said it himself, but maybe he was quoting Whitehead or something. But he said, when you're right, you're a majority of one. And I find this to be very, very useful, because when you're right, you are a majority of one. It doesn't matter what a billion other people are saying. If they're wrong and you're right, you're the majority. You have the upper hand. And that is a very important tool. And I think it's an important tool that was lost on science for some reason, because everybody are burying their heads into their very, very narrow sets of expertise. And then somehow it's drummed into scientists in school that do not dare lift your head, lift your gaze from what the only thing you were trained to do. And everything else you're going to say in any direction, you have no authority over. And you're going to be a fool for trying to say something. I mean, this is exactly how we lose our path. I think that now, finally, certain organizations are starting to take the reins back in that domain. And, well, the Monroe Institute is a clear example of that. But you have what is it called? Is it Santa Fe Institute? I forget what it's called. But I think it is the Santa Fe Institute, right? And they do kind of like this more holistic thinking. They bring scientists from all kinds of domains and they think across disciplines. But the fact that we even have to say it this way is absurd to me. Like, why do we have to say across disciplines? It's like, yes, you need to know certain tools to understand certain things, but logic is logic. Like, it's actually not that hard to fill someone in if you really want to understand something, right? So if you bring an expert in string theory and you bring an expert in biology, both extremely capable people, it can't be that hard to fill each other in the important details of the story if they're trying to actually work on a project. I think that this idea that there's no way they can step over and understand something logical in the other domain just because it requires some understanding some other tools is the thing that's stopping us. And Terence gave people, a lot of people, courage to think in these directions with unapologetically when they knew that they know. Does that open the door to also all kinds of crazy people that just think that they know and they don't? Sure. But these people are always out there. They're always going to be out there and they're always going to be loud. So why not give the people that are a little quieter about, what they think they know, and not shut down their voices with this idea that somehow anything outside of what they studied for 8 years, anywhere else they're idiots. That seems to be what science seems to think that is going on, and I think it's just absurd. Smart people are smart people. They can understand things in many domains, and you don't even have to say cross discipline. They can just understand things, and that kind of drives them crazy sometimes. And in that regard, I think Terence was uh, incredibly valuable to humanity, and this is why I think his legacy needs to live. His legacy needs to be remembered in a better way, and I'm doing everything I can to potentially bring that about. Yeah, I love the question. Thank you. I don't get to talk about Terence too much, and I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to do so. So thank you. Let me go through some of these because there's probably a lot that accumulated. FUCK crabs. I can't say the word because of TikTok, because they will literally flag us. Is saying, I'm very confused about this one thing. How are we here in the world then? I think the world then threw me off, because does that mean that you were referring to something else you said before, or it's just the way you ended the sentence? Also, what are you referring to when you're asking, when you're saying confused about this one thing? What is that one thing? The one thing is that how are we in the world, and then if so, in relationship to what? To the simulation. If you guys can complete the sentences fully in one, just so I don't have to guess what you mean by that. How are you, SJF? Cali 420, love the name. First time here. I feel like something has changed. Something is off. I feel like something big is coming in January. Yeah, something big is definitely coming. I'm not sure about that being off. There's code, and you're obviously dodging the question. No, I just can't follow everybody's comments all the time. And if you can state your question clearly in one sentence, I would love to answer it. Any other engineers want to discuss parsing of the data and the light strings? I think parsing the data at the moment will not be feasible, just because there's just too much going on there at any given time. The main focus should be the questions, whether your code will help you, and you will get an answer to us all. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that this is something that we're working on, and more people are getting involved. And it is a hard problem because it's not even clear how to potentially work it. We don't know how to record directly from the cortex. We don't know how to manipulate the code at the moment, aside from magnets. And I'm working on trying to get an actual official experiment going, in which we'll be able to, to run these statistical analyses of people analyzing it while they're on the molecule and looking at the laser with the magnets, plus trying to reproduce the Zeeman effect with it. So there's a lot of work to be done. That's for sure. How are you, Don? BSGG was saying, preach. Indeed. Adam Walking UK, do you believe that we should be able to decide for ourselves if we want to reincarnate or choose our own path? Is there a possibility that we are being deceived in order to keep us inside of this matrix? I understand the question, Adam Walker, but so first of all, you are choosing, because the only thing that is simulated is the environment, not the outcome. You're completely a free agent, just like you would imagine yourself to be in the physical world, or at least just kind of pushed around by the laws of physics, just the way that you would think before. And as far as being deceived, a lot of things are possible, but we don't go by all the things that are possible. We go by what's plausible, right? If you're being deceived, you have to kind of define what you mean by that. If you're being deceived in the sense that you don't know the full scope of reality, well, I mean, that's the case for everything in existence, including the most advanced civilizations. They are also, in that sense, deceived because they don't know the full scope of all of reality. That, by definition, that's impossible. Otherwise, you would have to be outside of reality, which is the ultimate snake that bites its own tail, which is not possible. I always say the universe is an impossible object that exists, which is basically really the case. So, deceived, if you imply by someone else in order to make you believe something else, well, at least according to my own trajectory, the fact that what I found is discoverable should give you a hint that this is not necessarily a secret. Now, could somebody put it there to make you think something else? So you then, okay, that's too many ifs, there's too many maybes. The easier thing would be, I think, would just not have this available for anybody to see, and you would be gleefully ignorant of your situation inside of the matrix. Also, you're not stuck in a computer software. There is no external reality, so to speak. There is no base reality. There's nowhere, you're not, there's no escaping the matrix. Reality itself is computation. So there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to run away to. The only place where the freedom lies is the same as the Buddha said, which is right here, right now. If you can be happy right now, truly, truly, truly liberated and free, it makes no difference whatsoever how this came about. Are you in a computer? Are you a brain in a vat? Are you a Boltzmann brain? Are you in a physical world? Makes no difference whatsoever. If you're happy now, your experience of happiness is all that matters. And this is what needs to be focused on. And you guys can absolutely join the Discord. Ebony is kicking ass over there. You think the code is fixed to be surface of an object, like some sort of light indexing? No, it's moving. I think it's actually coding for space-time itself, not for the objects in it. I tried Molecule, but instead of closing my eyes, I opened them. I saw red lines all around the room and the outside world. Best way to describe it was red neon lines that were vibrating over gently. Yeah. In fact, I haven't had a closed eyes experience in over a decade. I don't even know what they would look like at this point. Good to see you as well. Patterns in the string should help deconstruct smaller strings with individual meanings. First, the pattern need to be recorded. Then, thank you, Inspired. Thank you for becoming part of the team. Then parsed AI can detect patterns here. Okay. The best thing for you to do is help us all find the truth, because this back and forth about this other nonsense is not useful. I require information that will precede us forward in life. Yes. I'm not really sure what you're talking about as far as nonsense. These lives are more to engage with people and to see what people care about or ask questions. This is not the way that I'm going about the project. The project is evolving regardless, and I have people constantly working on the more technical side on trying to decipher what's going on, including myself. So I think you're confusing what I'm doing here with the actual project, which are two separate things. Thank you, Ebony. Curious then, what is the intention behind waking up people to the simulation? Is it to encourage OBE to really see it? So I don't think it's really a matter of a choice. I think we're approaching a state where we're all going to be basically be seeing more and more of the connections of all things. And this is basically a process by which we're making sense of everything that's going on. And we are connecting dots that previously we couldn't, and now we can. So it's just a matter of time before we connect the dots ultimately. So we have to prepare. And really, the main preparation is spiritual, which would include your mental state, your physical state, and your state of well-being in any given moment. That is the real preparation. All right, ambient glass. I appreciate you, and we will chat. I will send you a voice message on Instagram to clarify everything. But I appreciate you. We all want one thing: the system to come down. All the same question. I don't want the system to come down. So I'm not sure who you're speaking for, but you're not speaking for me. Um, the finger pointing needs to stop, which is exactly how I see the main problem. And the second you point a finger out there and you say there's a problem out there, whatever it is, that is the problem. The only thing that can be done about anything is changing yourself. And at this point in history, it's simply indispensable that we have to do so. We are trying our best every day, all of us, to, make the most comfortable environment for ourselves and our loved ones, or to the extent that somebody is doing that. I think it can change from person to person, but I think overall, unless people are complete psychopaths, that's what they're really trying to do. Very often they fail. Most of the time they fail. But slowly we discover more and more ways to do so. One of the ways to do so is actually creating more secure systems as a whole. And that requires big organizations, that requires institutions. This idea that people have now that I know is very popular, which is that we need to break down the system, break down the institutions. I think that is actually one of the most dangerous ideas out there, because that is actually where progress comes from. Now, people have a tendency to associate size or scale with evil, and that expresses itself both in terms of suspecting any organization that is over a certain size and or suspecting any person with over a certain amount of funds. That, of course, is silly, because you have to look at the situation for what it is, and organizations of a certain size just functioning at the best of their ability, just like any other person does. We always want to try and create the best possible optimal systems. But there is no situation where, if you go back to some kind of a state where, let's say you go back to smaller villages or something like this, right? This idea that all of a sudden danger will stop coming after you it's just not true, right? It's a type of a delusion that was born out of a virtue signaling culture that decided that the best use of their time is not try and actually do something of value for society, but to complain about everything that is amazing that was brought not by them, but by people who sweat blood and devoted their lives to make things happen. That, I think, is the most corrosive idea, not institutions. Institutions definitely need to go through some reforms, but the idea that we need to break the system down is exactly the thing that's going to eventually collapse the civilization, not the other way around. I believe that's what caused all the other civilizations to collapse. It's not that they got too big, it's that they had exactly the same situation we have now, where people get to a point where they all of a sudden don't like that they are part of a larger thing because they want their individuality to shine. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you make the entire system that actually brings more prosperity in general collapse because you want your voice to be heard, that is selfish. And I'm not saying necessarily that is what you're doing now, but you are voicing a very similar idea to what a lot of people say that have this predispensation. I think the idea itself is corrosive, not the people who are voicing it. And if I, every time I will have the opportunity, I will say it. I think people need to stop thinking this way. It's not like, okay, I'll give you an example. The other day I saw a post that some, I forget who posted it. Maybe it was Elon. I forget who it was, but it doesn't really matter. It might have been Elon, but I honestly don't remember, and it doesn't really matter who posted it. The post was of like this super futuristic city, right? And probably some of you maybe have even seen it, and somebody will probably tell me here if that was Elon or somebody else. But again, not much is resting on who posted it, right? So whomever it was posted this post, and it was like this graphic of a super big city, right? And then everybody in the comments as expected, we're like, oh my God, this is awful, post apocalyptic. We're all like rats in a maze. And I'm like, okay, hold on. There's so many things that is wrong with this trajectory. Okay, first of all, nobody said that because there is this one enormous city, it somehow means that there's no more nature anywhere else. It's not mutually exclusive. You will need some enormous cities because they are working on certain projects of a certain size that only big cities can produce, because you need a lot of people in one space working on certain particular kind of problems that eventually we will have to work on if we are to get off this planet, and eventually you're going to have to do it because the sun will make us, even if you don't have to do it before. So now that does not mean that other portions of earth are not going to be this beautiful heaven that we're going to create, right? I don't think anybody in their right mind would vote against that. Of course we want that, but they're not mutually exclusive. But notice how much venom there is behind this thing, that just because somebody appreciates enormous architecture, there's vitriol there. There's like, oh no, not this. I only want what I want. I don't want this. And this seems to be completely lost on people when they do this, which is like they're being super negative about something that inspires somebody else. And because they want something else, okay, make a post about what you want. You don't have to shit about what somebody else finds inspiring, right? Which is super bizarre if you think that most of the people that are expressing this kind of virtue, they want to come across as people who care about everybody else. But really, all they care about is whatever their vision is, right? That's what's happening in the moment. And what I find disturbing, particularly disturbing about this, is that there seems to be a complete inability to see the fact that, and people posted things like, this was particularly absurd to me when people posted this thing where um, it's they said, don't give me this is the kind of technology that this, okay, don't give me all this something along the lines of, don't give me all this technology, can we go back to this? And then they post these beautiful AI illustrations, like AI videos from, like, old Rome or like older cities like that, or maybe it was Greece, some other more ancient civilization. And I'm like, what? And you think this is not technology? Like, all of it is technology. Like, literally building a hut is technology. All of it is technology. The demonization is the problem. So now, of course, this is ironic because what I'm doing now is basically criticizing faceless people who do this or that. But I don't know at the moment. Still, I don't know how to bring attention to emphasizing that it simply should not be the path when you pointing the finger, without sounding to some degree like I'm passing criticism. Is there a better way to do this? I'm certain of it. And maybe one day I'll find it. But at the moment, I don't know what that way is. So the best way I can do is basically, well, yeah, like kind of point that finger, but at least not in anyone in particular, just saying, look, this way of doing things, which we know that a lot of people are doing this way. And I know that probably a lot of listeners here are also feeling very similar to the people that I'm pointing the finger to at the moment. But please understand that I have no qualm or negative emotion toward the people themselves. I find the idea that animates this kind of behavior troublesome, because I see that if that idea is allowed to continue, it will be, well, I find it delusional, the idea itself, because it betrays the facts that it's trying to stand on. It's trying to say, look, we should care about what happens to the rest of the environment, but it then implies we should care about it more than we care about ourselves. I don't think that needs to come along because, well, first of all, there's no need for that, right? It's just like in the airplane. Before you help anybody else, you got to put your own mask on. And there's nothing selfish about that. You can be more useful when you do that. So first, we have to stop addressing ourselves as a disease. We have to start seeing ourselves as a positive force in the world. And we can never do that if we point to other human beings, specific human beings, and saying, look at what this person is doing. They're evil. They want this. They want that. They just want power. They want. We will never get out of the problem if we're going to keep doing it this way. So whenever I hear somebody saying, and again, this is like a long rant, and and this is something that Beast YouTube, you'll find out about this channel very quickly. Very often, what would happen, you would make a comment, and you might not have meant it even in this vein at all, and or maybe to some degree you were, and then I would go on this crazy tangent for like 30 minutes, and you probably already responded or corrected me and all of that. I will take your corrections in a second when I'm going to read them, but I basically used the opportunity, according to what I thought you said, to talk about a larger subject, which I feel is an important thing to talk about. And if you didn't mean it that way, I will read it in a moment, and I'll correct course with you in particular. But my point about the larger fashion of talking in this way stands. I think it's one of the most dangerous ways of thinking. Balance is where the answer is. Balance. We have to stay balanced. And part of that is not, especially not to criticize particular people, because you're not these people. Now, you can criticize behavior and you can talk about specific ways by which you believe this thing can be remedied or corrected. But to say, hey, this person, to imply that we think we would be better in the position of whomever it is that we're criticizing that yields that amount of power is absurd. Like, we don't really know how we would be in that situation. And I always say, look, if each and every one of us would have the amount of attention aimed at us on a daily basis as much as the people that are out there, known people, both in the government, in business, and whatever it is, if you would have that amount of attention on you every single day, all of us, imagine how terrible we would look. Because all of us are doing all kinds of things that we're not, it's just very easy to kind of forget that you cut a corner here, you do this that way. And there's not a lot of people that are like really working on themselves in a way where they're trying to eliminate as much of that as possible. There's really no corrective mechanisms there aside from the people that are really close to them, right? Imagine how much scrutiny all these people are going through, and we so easily, because it is easy, it seems like you're punching up, right? Say, hey, I would do it differently. Well, you're not in that position, and there's a reason for that, right? It's just not helpful. Like, it's not helpful. Like, where the stuff that people are saying, right? I don't know if it was you that said this. Again, I'm going to read all the comments in a moment, or somebody else just said this, but something is coming, something big is coming, things are off, we're prisoners, and all these negative things. Even if some of them, or even if all of them are true, okay, now what? Like, people say, what is it? Okay, well, what about this theory we're all like slaves on this planet, and we're supposed to, okay. Is there anything about that bit of information that helps you do something, that helps you build something, that makes you feel better, that inspires you to do something? If not, then it's completely pointless. Like, it's completely pointless. If you being aware of something is completely pointless to the extent that there's not even even a potential trajectory to something that it might do in terms of, and by the way, especially when it's completely unsubstantiated, like there's no reason to think this aside from a few logical ideas that kind of people come up with based on nothing but their intuition, right? I mean, it's just this is why I'm steering away from these kind of ideas. They're not helpful. They're not helping me, and they're not helping anybody. So again, at this point, I'm pretty certain, because I said so much and you said a couple of lines. I'm certain, almost like 99% certain, that I even took your point in the wrong direction. But I did want to talk about this in general. Thank you so much, Inspired. So I will. This still stands, and now I'll see how badly I misinterpreted what you said, and then we'll correct course. Uh, oh, I see. Okay, so reading some comments. 1 second. Thank you so much for all the likes and the love on TikTok, by the way, guys. I appreciate you.
Hey, Danny, I'm gonna have to sign off pretty soon, but I did want to ask you one question when
Sure.
you have a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you worked with a group of people to write down the symbols, and do you have like a set that you know you've all seen?
No, it's hard for me to say. I mean, yes, some people recreated the symbols, but I do think that it's too flimsy to say that to call that a recreation. Sorry, to call that like a representation. It's more like a general artistic recreation. I think if we really want to know, there's just, well, you saw it, right? There's so much going on. I don't.
Yeah.
I think you heard me say this a billion times now, but I think the only way to like conclusively say is if you can record information directly from the brain. That's the only
Okay.
way.
The only reason why I asked is because Ebony, I don't know if she's still on, but she drew a few things and she posted it, and I know for sure I saw one of those symbols. 100%.
Would you be able to email me or text me which one it is from what she described?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
it. Yeah, and I want to see if other people said something similar to that. That would be super helpful.
All right, I'm out of here. Have a good night.
Have a good night, brother. Let's see how many comments I missed. I'm trying to go through them as fast as possible, guys. There's so much. And I deeply appreciate it. By the way, if you guys enjoying the live, if you want to give the live a like, I would really appreciate that. It definitely helps the algorithm. TikTok is on it, but same goes for YouTube and X and Twitch. Appreciate you guys. Do you think these beings seen in these molecule experiences share the same reality with us, or are they in a completely separate reality to us, and through the molecule we access their place? That's a great question. I think we are in their space. So this is the majority. The majority of everything is computational, and they reside in these higher computational spaces, but they're right here, so to speak. So we are almost like a subset within that larger space, and they can see us, but we can't see them for the most part. With the molecule, you basically change your phase in a way that you can actually see them as well. That's what I think is happening from a technical standpoint. Stone Hobbit is saying, love to discuss your theory on night terrors. I'm inflicted by regular occurrences through my travels. I now consider them accessing other dimensions. Yeah, so that's a great question, Stone Hobbit, and I'm sorry you're going through it. I have a friend who also has them, and he had them for many, 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 many years. I think the majority of his life. You know, I wish I would have an answer. I thought for a long time that maybe there are ways to basically protect ourselves energetically from these things, especially because I'm considering a lot of these things real, or what we would call real. And the truth is, well, I'm sure there are ways, but I'm probably not the best person to comment on this because I'm not that well versed with the politics and specifics of these spaces with these beings. Shamans are much better at this. It's funny because I would never imagine 5 years ago that I would give an advice of this sort, but I would and I will give it now, which is if you can find a trustworthy somebody who your intuition will tell you a really kind, kind-hearted shaman who like really knows these spaces and ask them that question about potential ways to, either what they call remove an entity or like create um, a protected space, I would do that. I don't feel equipped, maybe yet, maybe ever, to answer this question because I really don't know the specifics of how it works, and I know there are answers there. I just don't know them. That would be my advice. And because the reason I mentioned my friend is because he is one of these just wholesome humans, like incredible human being, one of my favorite people, and it appears for him all the time. So I know that his heart is pretty pure, and it has nothing to do with like people being negative or anything like this, or at least maybe not in the sense that we think of it. Like maybe there's some darkness that is not held with and not dealt with, and that these beings are attracted to it. I truly don't know. I would be guessing, fumbling in the dark. I don't feel equipped, so I don't want to. I don't want to pretend like I know. But yeah, if you can find, or at least put the way that these things work is if the thing is right, it will happen. So what I would do is I would put the intention of potentially having these things um, come to you. So like the right person to appear, kind of thing. Put the intention and see what happens. And I would love if you report back and let us know how that went. I would love to know. Also, I'm gonna run an experiment here. I got this new thing, and I want to see. It's supposed to be like some kind of a chill thingy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with methylene blue, but there's the same company that makes some of these things. They make this other product that has to do with, it's called like calm, whatever. And I wanted to try it during the day to see if it helps me enter flow. But then my fiance said that's probably going to chill you out to the extent you're going to fall asleep. So we're going to try a quarter now. If I start snoring on you, we'll know that this thing definitely chills you out beyond what I'm aiming for. So we're going to run this experiment live. Just fall asleep. That would be amazing. Okay. So somebody said Isabel Blair from TikTok, I think as an answer to you. I'm going to save her account and I'll ask her in private. I always trying to bring people in. Thank you for that, Isabel. So I'm going to send you a message later if you know anything about this, and I'll report back to. Wait, where's the message? Stone Hobbit. Stone Hobbit, if you want to email me to laser simulation x lasersimulationx@gmail.com. And if I come across any information that can potentially help you, I will. Okay, I will just email me so I remember what the deal is, and then I'll. Excuse me, and then whoa, what is that? No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. And then Isabel Blair, if you want to send me a message more detailed. I usually don't check DMs, but I'll check for this. If you know anything about this, she said ashram, Denton, Texas, shamanic teachings, alchemy, sealing the space. I know that TikTok is very limited on characters, so I don't blame Isabel for writing this shortly. But if I can connect you guys, and there might be any. Oh, there you go. Yeah, and then I'll try and connect you guys to see if one can help the other. Boo. Oh, I thought you said boo bullion. That would be hilarious. Okay. So yeah, today sometimes there's these days I haven't went on one in a while. I go on these rants, and today was one of them. And what happens? I go on these rants, and then there's all these comments accumulate, and then I'm having a very hard answering all of them, but I'll do my best. DMDVP. Oh, let's see if they flag us because I just read the title. Simulation theory is a new take on the Gnostic religion. Instead of simulation, they called it false reality, but our experience is real. Learning from our pains helps our souls to grow. Well, I mean, I can't disagree with that. Also, Eric, is that you? Because if so, I'm so happy to have you here, brother. I'm always referring people to you, just so you know. So luckily, animals aren't too woke like us. Luckily, animals aren't too woke like us. That's kind of funny. Trying to see where I lost you guys in terms of ciao, Dan, like from Italy. Paolo Capitini, powered by Out of Ellis. Olis. Welcome, Paolo. I always say ciao at the end of the chat. I don't even know why. Oh, maybe because I really love Pepe, who was my right-hand guy for a while from Italy, still one of my closest friends, and he always says ciao, and it makes me happy. I think that's why I say ciao. String needs to be recorded, timestamp. Okay. Going through all the comments, guys. You got it, consummate. Whoa, what is that? That is so cool. I don't know what that was on TikTok, but it was great. Whomever did this, thank you. Texas Trev, how are you, brother? Did we wait, did we add your protocol? I think we added you to the protocol. If not, I have to put it in Trello right now. Let me do it in real time. Texas Trev is the guy who sent me the protocol with the strobes. Oh, come on, man. Why is it jumping? Okay. Here it is. Add a card. And the strobe protocol to the website as shared by Texas Trev. Thank you, Texas Trev. By the way, can you please type in, if you don't mind, either here or if you don't want to make it public for some reason, if you can just DM me with your email again, because I know you emailed me and everything. I just want to be able to find it quickly so we can search for it in Texas Trev. Okay. All right, add it. It's in my Trello. So we'll get on that immediately if we haven't already done that. Good to have you here, brother. Okay. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. And again, to all the people that are constantly contributing and doing such an incredible work, I want you to know that if it takes me a longer time, even though very often oh my God, I'm trying to find a comfortable position. If it takes me a lot longer than usual to respond, know that it has nothing to do with me not caring about your message. I deeply care about everybody who's sending the messages and engaging and all of that. It's simply my inadequacy as I just simply don't know yet how to handle the amount of attention required of me, and I'm doing my best to try and do that. And to the extent that I can, I manage. To the extent that I can't, I do not manage. So this is to all the people that feel that if they feel that they're being ignored, please know that you are not being ignored. I just don't know yet how to handle all the tasks. Okay, let me also put the website here. Go to reality. And I might want to mention that there's some incredible people that came along and just literally, without asking too many questions, without permission, and I appreciate that, just volunteer and do so much incredible work. Um, the people that created the Discord, and Ebony here, who's now volunteering and helping with the project, and also contributing almost on a daily basis in terms of also giving people memberships to help the community grow. Same for Devin with Ben. Irv is indispensable, and I know I'm going to be forgetting a lot of people. There's quite a few people that show up. Casey, who else? Ambient Glass always throws ideas around. Daniel is not here with us today, I think, but also always does his best to contribute with everything he can. And yeah, I want you to know that I appreciate all of you and all the people that are trying to contribute, really. And I don't know how to thank you guys enough. The only thing I can say is that the second that this thing becomes big enough, I know that all these contributions will not go unnoticed. And I know everybody who are doing that out of the goodness of their heart and the fact that they believe in the project. But I wanted to express that explicitly, that this does not go unnoticed. I just simply, I'm still learning how to be in this position and manage everything in a way that is smooth. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you included Texas Trev, of course. Oh, Nico is a huge contribution. I'm so grateful for you, brother. Nico is helping me with the papers, and he just suggested, and it was right on time because I was kind of trying a few times to do this, and it was not coherent enough to present to anyone. And Nico stepped in and helped me so much. Within a week, we now have something to present. So thank you, brother. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go through these comments quicker now, just to see that if there's any new kind of questions. If you're not willing to do the experiment, whoa, and being less, I appreciate the defensiveness of the project, but please, let's keep everything civil here. The school is for the funds, and those teachers are teaching us what they were taught in school. Dang, yeah. So we lead with kindness. That's the answer. Just reading some of the comments, trying to focus. Yeah, man, I share your love for Terence. Now, it's also clear to me at this point. I've been researching him quite a bit for the movie, and I've also, part of that, I also read Dennis's book, "The Brotherhood of the Screaming Abyss," about his life with Terence, Dennis McKenna, his brother. And yeah, Terence could also be a piece of work, just like all of us. But in the end of the day, I do think that his genius is not recognized enough today. And I think sometimes I would listen to something he said, 30 years ago, and I'd be like, dude, wow, wow. Talking about ahead of his time. Unbelievable. The accuracy with which he saw the future. The code seems to be always the same, God's child. So far, aside from on magnets. Thank you, Looney Crow. Appreciate you. YouTube Granny Juju or Hoo Hoo. Good evening, the fifth world. Beast YouTube is saying, remember, folks, just so we're clear, Dan isn't depressed or suicidal. He very much looks forward to sharing what he finds. That's true. If something were to happen to his YouTube channel, then you know. Yeah, and this is also why if you join the members program, please email me to lasersimulationx@gmail.com so I can put you on the mailing list so we can always stay in touch regardless. And I wouldn't worry too much, guys. I think that whatever needs to happen will happen in the best possible way. I believe in the perfect plan. I know it sounds to some people naively optimistic, but I have a strong intuition that everything is going to be all right. Everything that is impossible until it becomes fact. Exactly, Papa Courtney. Ambient Glass saying he is Neo, he just doesn't know it yet. I actually think if I have to map what I'm doing more to the movie The Matrix, I feel like I'm more Morpheus than Neo. I feel like humanity is Neo. Like literally we are the one. And there's a function of kind of presenting that information to the one. And I guess that would be more like Morpheus. Also, Morpheus has the best speech in all movies of all time. I mean, come on, man. It's the only thing that rivals that two pills speech is the last scene in the diner. Samuel L. Jackson, that scene at the diner, man. That one and the two pills, the blue and the red pill. These are the two speeches of all time for me. Okay. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Apologies if I missed your comment. Oh, let me also add the frequently asked questions. Back. And we add it to the website. Okay. I want to mention once again Irv. He's the guy who's making the lasers, and he's also single-handedly doing so many things in behind the scenes. He's putting so much soul and thought into these new packages, so people feel like actually what their contribution matters, because these lasers are not cheap, and we appreciate the people that are ordering them. So I want to make sure that you guys feel that. And Irv is personally doing a lot of work to make sure that people feel the love when they receive them, as well as he's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that has to do with the website, with the protocols, and I'm deeply grateful for him. He's doing incredible work. Merry Christmas. I love the festive vibe. Jesus 3. Can you imagine like Rambo? Jesus 3, now in theaters. Taking care of nature is taking care of ourselves. Indeed, I agree with that. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to skip to the bottom because will never step out of it. Apologies to all the people that I skipped. To be sure, in addition, current astrology is putting on the brink of a major contact event. It's a pivotal time right now. Exciting it is. Ebony said, I love that McKenna quote so much. I think you're referring to if you're right, you're a majority of one, right? Is that what you mean? It's a great one. It's so true. Oh, you're referring to the one you wrote. Ebony wrote another Terence quote, which is also great. Things are going to get weirder and weirder until they are so weird that we will have to talk about them. It's very true. And I agree with Yoni. Don't worry, have faith. I agree with that. I am Neo. We are many. Well, humanity, we're all one, right? So we are the one. When you had a similar question last week, he said, I got a video coming out with CGI rendering to give viewers an idea of what the code looks like during the experience. Ronnie P.I. asked similar question last week and said, you're talking to me? Yeah, we're working on showing the code in a more coherent way, but I didn't say it's going to come out next week. Is this something that somebody else you mean is working on? Because that would be interesting to see. Always sending you an invite just in case, Nico. Artica333, good to see you. Shauna, good to see you. What movie are we talking about? Terence McKenna on the mystical and Itzhak Bentov on the physics and early inspirations. Yep. Itzhak Bentov is also a great one. Good to see you, brother. I'm not sure if you want to be named, so I stopped myself from naming you. I'll just call you Arikos, unless you don't mind, and then I'll call you by a name. Blue or red, Republican or Democrat? How do I define real? If you stub your toe and it hurts, that's real. Try and insist that it's not real to somebody who did stub their toe. Reality is where experience meets whatever. That's how I would define real. Order a laser off AliExpress. Perfect. You got it. Let me know if you got anybody who's willing to do the experiment and you're willing to fill in the report on the website. That would be super helpful. I think we added a section as well to add a video if you feel like it. That would be wonderful. And by the way, if you're presenting yourself in the video, do not worry. This video will never, ever, ever see the light of day unless you give us explicit permission that you're okay with us using it. Otherwise, nobody will ever see this video aside from me and Irv. That's it. I appreciate you. Micro silo daily, but debating Rhymes with BMC. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Find me, I will help. No doing cheers, and they will see, but have faith. Yes. There has to be a drawing that someone may have done. Yeah, I mean, it's in the trailer. If you watch the trailer, in the beginning, there's a piece of paper that we're kind of gliding over with the camera. That piece of paper has a code on it that is basically the code, or the way it appears, at least. Again, not quite exactly. Okay. Whoops. Again, the website is codeofreality.com. The protocol is there, as well as the lasers. Thank you, the one. The actual one just gave me a rose. I appreciate you. Both the ones we make and also just the parts that you can just order. Some people told me that the links would be shared for what you can get from Amazon. It says out of stock. Don't worry about it. Just make sure that you, first of all, usually when you scroll down, you'll see similar products and just some other seller on Amazon. You can just get it through them. Usually there's plenty of those to go around. But the truth is that you don't even have to use the link on the website. You can just copy the specs and then you can buy it anywhere you want. Alibaba, anywhere you would like. But the website is codeofreality.com. Codeofreality.com. The protocol is definitely there. Idea for a science novel: humans take molecule, hook their brains up to AGI, then AGI can understand and manipulate the code. That sounds pretty plausible. Sounds like a documentary. Mushroom. Dango, does anyone has or have seen drawings of the characters and images he and others have seen? I would like to run it by AI. Yeah, there's not enough of them, unfortunately, Ronnie. So there's not enough of them to run through, AI. But if you look at, so if you email me, you see the website that is listed on the screen. If you go to that website, my email is listed there. It's lasersimulationx@gmail.com, but you don't have to remember. Just go to the website and it's there. Email me, and I'll email you the the image that we have in the video, and you can take these characters and see if you can throw them into ChatGPT and tell you something. Is there beeping in this live? Yeah, unfortunately, the beeping is in the background for me. There's an alarm going off here in the background. So far, I'm not falling asleep from this thing, which is kind of cool. Nice. I mean, a lot of it kind of looks like this, Oil Hunter. It definitely looks like Japanese katakana. It's not quite that, but it's very similar. It's not quite that. It's very important to mention. That's a great question, Ariane, about viewing the code from Faraday cage. I would like to. No, but I have never done that. But yes, that would be an interesting experiment to run. Something tells me it won't make a difference, but I would love to run this. What information am I holding back, ambient glass? I mean, you can say whatever you would like. I'm not holding any information, as far as I know. But you can say whatever you think it is that I'm holding back. I've noticed the origins of language come from the same place. Pictographs from I Ching. They don't really look like that, though. You got it, Nico. Always welcome. The aliens. I was speaking about the aliens openly. What part of the aliens am I holding back on? Ambient glass. Okay. I'm not hiding anything, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Have you tried experiencing phenomena while on mushrooms? Yes. Everything. All right. That's good. I spoke openly about the fact that the layer above us, they're insects or insectoids. There seems to be the management company of this layer, and that it seems, again, I hope I'm not misstating this, but it seems like we've been given another chance and we better not mess it up. That's all I know to the extent of the conviction that I can put forth. If you know more than that, please let me know. Or maybe there's just another part that you think is more central and I'm just not thinking about it in that way. Origin of language comes from the. Wait. Oh, I've seen this. Okay. Brian! Oh my god. How you doing, brother? I'm gonna send you an invite just in case. Also, dude, it's like super late for you. Why are you still up? Particles and waves equal dashes, and dots equal lines, and circles equal ones and zeros. Okay. Yeah, well, the thing is that it's not just any of these things, it's a lot of different characters. It's kind of hard to say. Does everyone sees the same exact characters? Have you tried projecting multiple lasers at once in order to widen the lines and see you're able to see more code? Yes, but it doesn't really help to decipher it. So see more code. I thought I thought it would, but it doesn't. Other substances you can do mushrooms, you can do Aya. Both work. Mushrooms you would need a lot more, like 3.5 grams. Natural molecule through my light body process have shown me the same thing, and I can show it and prove it also. Amazing. You should do so. All hail the insects. And can I have special treatment, please? Tell us more about the triangle buttons and hyperspace. I'm not sure what those are, brother. You're going to have to tell us. Hey, I have a question. How do these insectoids look compared to the super tall mantis extraterrestrials that some people report seeing during UAP's experiences? I don't know because I don't I've never seen them in the context of a UAP experience, but I've seen them before. There's all kinds of insectoids. They seem to be a hive mind, and they seem to be these mechanical insectoids that are part of a larger structure, and they are the ones tending to our portion of the simulation, and they are responsible to kind of give us the tools to understand our own reality and what we are. And if we reach a certain level of, from what I understand, if we reach a certain level of trustworthiness, which at the moment we are they're on the fence about us, and I don't blame them. But if we manage to cross that line of trustability, then we will be able to enter the space in which we can start playing with what will eventually become infinite energy and infinite computation. And then we will be allowed to run our own simulations with other beings under us that are not aware of us, but we are aware of them, just like it works from them to us. And then we will be imparted with some of these partial powers to do these things. And that's how it keeps going. The simulation, that's what it's all about. It keeps going this way across all the levels. Yeah, you keep repeating triangle buttons, brother, but I don't know what that means. What's up, Casey? How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Yes. What's up, brother?
What's happening, homie?
I'm so happy you decided to drop by.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing, bro. We just came back from Joshua Tree. It's a good little visit for the soul. Incredible.
Amazing.
How's the East Coast?
Freezing. It's I'm up because I'm doing last minute laundry and I have an 8 a.m. flight to Florida for the holidays. So
cool. See family or for work?
Yeah, going to see family. Take a couple weeks off,
Amazing, bro. So Brian, everybody, is a genius composer and a musician, and I do not use this word lightly, and it is true. I've heard some of his work. He's personally responsible for some incredible work in the spiritual growth space and producing music that is truly out of this world. Do you have anything fun that you're working on that is related to this kind of stuff that you might be interested to hear about?
Well, we've been doing, definitely been doing a lot of work with Next Folks, the brainwave music therapy.
I don't know how I spaced on that. And Brian is also the creator of very special technology. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's neuroimmersive technology that essentially reads your mind, reads brainwaves, and then translates that into healing frequencies. What we call the 5D biosonic model of the mind.
No, there we go. Yeah,
and basically returning healing the brain through translating those brainwaves into therapeutic music and returning your body mind connection to a natural state. And also being able to take you, if for those of people who are scared of DMT, which probably aren't people in this.
No, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. You'll be surprised.
But so we have specially designed it so that we're able to take people through sort of a psychedelic journey led by their own mind, leading you through different scenes. You did an early version of it, right? A couple of years ago.
Yep. My brain was very regular, which was awesome. There's some people who like flying off the charts with all kinds of things.
Your diagnosis healthy.
Yeah. My diagnosis is completely normal. I was thinking about opening cupboards or something. I don't know. Dude, that's amazing. Yeah. By the way, thank you for passing the information to Tom Campbell. I know that somebody reached out to me who knows him. I forget how I spoke to them actually before, to be honest. But then they asked me to.
Was it Eileen who reached out to you?
No, his name is Jose. So he's not from his team, but he knows him. And I spoke to him somehow before. I don't know. So now we officially wrote. Well, thanks to Nico, we managed to organize the information in a way that looks presentable to scientists. And so I sent them a couple of the papers. If you want, I can share it with you as well. If you ever encounter anybody you think might be interested, because we're going to be presenting it to a few potential avenues. And yeah, so I'll send it to you. You can look into it.
Awesome.
Yeah, because one of them is now involving magnets, which I think you will find interesting. Yeah, the code seems to be scrambling when we're projecting it on a magnet. And Casey over here was doing it live for a few nights in a row, verifying this observation. Yeah, so now we devised an experiment to try and substantiate this in the lab to actually show that it actually scrambles real information. And if we can prove that, I mean, that changes everything.
Wow. What do you think the implications behind that
are? I think that what it shows us is that the code is essentially real information, and what happens to the light is that essentially the magnet influences the light enough to actually change the trajectory of the photons that are coming back to your eye. And because of that, it diverts some of the coherence of the code, and it makes it look like it's scrambled. So it actually influences the light. One of the pushbacks that I got from some scientists, including from Gallimore, which is understandable, which is that we do know of some hallucinations that are very coherent, and the brain will do everything to protect the coherence of that hallucination, including taking into account certain things that happen in the physical environment. So if the brain knows from experience that when magnets divert the photons from light in that way, it will incorporate that into the hallucination, if it in fact is a hallucination. So, but if we put, and this is what we've been trying with Casey for a few nights, and we're going to be potentially putting it in our lab, if you put some kind of a screen between you and the magnet, so now you have no visual information about where the magnet is, right? All you see is the laser as you would see it on the regular surface on the wall. And if I put the magnet behind that surface, and that I cannot see, so I cannot see that magnet, but if I see the scrambling still happening, so I can literally point, oh, I see scrambling over there, I see scrambling over there. And if that's correct, which means it matches where the magnet actually is behind the thing, well, now I'm proving without a shadow of a doubt that what is happening is a scrambling of something real, because I have no visual information coming about something that the brain can correlate with, with the hallucination. You see what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're proposing both of these, and this is going to be in the second round of experimentation. And I think that what my next hypothesis would be that if we can induce a strong enough of a magnetic field around a diode, at least, we should be able to see some kind of a jump to the next octave, so to speak. So just like in somatics, when you vibrate the sand, right? Then when you amp up the frequency on the plate, it goes into chaos for a second, and then it goes into a new stable state, different, right?
Yeah.
So imagine the equivalence of that with light. So imagine if I can produce enough of a magnetic field to do this to light. So then if I'm right, then we should see something happening to the code that we didn't see before, like a new state that is also stable but different. And if I can produce that across individuals, I mean, now you're literally changing everything, changing the paradigm.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see you guys at the Thomas Campbell Symposium. It was a very interesting group of people that were sort of assembled. What was really cool about what they did was Thomas wasn't just looking for people who agreed with him.
Mm-hmm.
So like he had like Rizwan there, and there was I'm blanking on people's names.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, but the too much chat GPT, right? But the there were like a number of people, like different angles on the simulation theory, not just people who agreed with each other. So that was pretty fascinating, and it would have been maybe, if it gets together so that we do it next year, hopefully you'll be there. And
hopefully, yeah,
I think you have a really interesting voice, certainly in the arena.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy you came by. No, seriously, like, yeah, you always make me happy. Me and Brian, we're one of the biggest things I appreciate about our friendship is that there's so many things we disagree about, and we find that so beautiful. Like, but even actually, that's not true, because a lot of things we do agree on, and then when we drill down to it, I think it's just more of a matter of nuance and perspective. But there's a lot of things that I love disagreeing with you about. It's very fun to disagree about things in the way that we do. I wish this would be more the case for more people in more domains.
Yeah, I think you and I we pass over the things that we agree on, and it's more fun.
Yeah.
To joust on the things that we don't.
Exactly. Yeah, and I always appreciate that about you, and I can't wait for the next time we hang out. I am supposed to go to New York I keep saying pretty soon. It just keeps being postponed a little bit, but I am supposed to go there at least in the next 2 months or so. Are you going to be traveling a lot to Central America, or are you going to be in New York spending some time?
I think I'm going to be in New York quite a bit. So when did you say you think you'll be here? Let's hook up.
Well, of course, but I don't know dates yet, but within the next 2 months, I have to be there, yeah.
Cool.
So I'll definitely let you know, yeah. And by the way, I saw a comment here that I think is actually
So
important.
some of the do some next folks EEG / DMT laser magnet testing.
Let's go. No, I actually, and this is what Casey just said. We should definitely try and test the what happens in the brain when we change the code in a particular way. If we can do that through your technology, I mean, I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly could. We certainly could get the EEG readings. You know, it would be interesting to do baseline, and then even how much have you done much of that, like testing?
Yeah, well, we had a few individuals. I mean, I've noticed it, and then I started talking about it, and then a few people tried it. Casey and Van Dweller on YouTube, and there were a few other people off the live that tried this, and it worked. But now it's gonna. I mean, the claim is huge, so it's gonna require an actual, like a real laboratory condition. Yeah, like.
But even the regular DMT.
So try. By the way, try to say spirit molecule, not that word.
Got you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's TikTok, man. They're weird.
No, I completely I've already been censoring myself.
Yeah.
Extremely. Spirit molecule.
Yeah.
Have you done any brainwave readings along with stuff? Any?
I mean, they've done this in the Imperial College. They do it all the time, right? That's how they go about it. They also read them. But yeah, EEG is something I will definitely, especially in the context of seeing the console, I would love to see what happens there, because something has to change in the way that my cortex reacts. Something has to be different.
Yeah, the getting baseline and then readings.
Mm-hmm.
And then, do you do music at all? Like
I do, but for me, so, yes. So sometimes, so the thing is that I've noticed something interesting. So if you play music, the experience starts, and if you stop the music in the middle, everything you hear in the space apparently disappears with the music. So it's almost like the space attaches its content on the most robust pattern, and because music is so robust and it's so present, that it would attach itself to it versus the ambient sounds in the room, which it usually would. And then I realized that it's probably how it works in general. It's a canvas. So they paint audibly, visually on a canvas, and that canvas is the most robust pattern that is present. And in the case of music, it's always going to be more robust in the sense of grabbing more of your attention, because it's so much more powerful than just the ambient sound in the room, right? But if music is not present, then the fan in the shower will be it. Or the same goes for the visual field. Like you would see a random pattern on a wall, and all of a sudden it would make something, or like kind of like a messy painting. The molecule really loves those. Like it would do something there, right? So it's kind of it's almost like it draws on it. So that's my experience with music. It's possible there are particular kinds of music. This is something I spoke with Adam about. You know, about the whole like dissonant frequencies and frequencies that are more wholesome and holistic, right? Maybe there is something there. Actually, I'm pretty sure that there is something there, like certain kinds of music with certain signatures that might invoke different spaces. I think that's absolutely true. Yeah.
But probably keeping the laser work and everything in code, you're much better off keeping it clean.
The code doesn't seem to care about music or frequency or anything. No. That's why that's a difficult conversation to have with people that are convinced that everything is our perception, because it doesn't seem to be the case. So I guess closer to what Donald Hoffman is saying, which is that there is something there that is not just what you think it is, right? But that thing will never land itself to your descriptive machinery. Like you would never be able to understand what that actually is, right? But there's something there, and that's an important point. So there are codes, like people email me all the time that they see the code without the molecule, or they see it without the laser. And what I've noticed is that when I ask most of them, at the end we arrive at the conclusion that it's not the same code. Because the code, a few elements. One is that it's malleable, so you can change it with your attention. and there's other elements of it, like it's subsumed in surfaces. Sometimes people describe things that exactly like we see in the laser. It does happen as well, like naturally when they wake up or things like this. But it made me think that if everything are these codes, right, ultimately, then there must be codes that are closer, so to speak, to what we are as a conscious being, and those are the ones that people will perceive more available, more readily available, and they'll be able to change it with their attention because it's closer to what their conscious unit is. But I think that what we see in the laser is, I guess, the code that codes more for what we call objective reality. Like it codes for the wall or for the laws of physics that give rise to the wall. So that is still there. Like even though it's all mind in the end, it seems, there are regularities of the mind that are insistent enough to call them the laws of physics. Like they don't act like you can't walk through the wall just by wishing for it, right? And some people insist that that's possible. I don't think so. So like not anytime soon. And I think that's important to mention. And by the way, to me, that does not subtract at all from the magic of the beauty and the new majesty that we're seeing arising, which is, whatever you want to call it, the emergence of some of the elements of the kingdom of gods, or the new world that is trying to emerge through us in the battle, and like what kind of world is going to be. Whatever frame you want to put on it, doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't ruin the magic of the fact that something new is emerging, and I think we can all agree on that. But it is also the case that there are some things that are as solid as what we would call the laws of physics, and I don't think those are mutually exclusive.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's surprising that we're not able to. I mean, I come across this with our work with Next folks as well. That we're not able to record factually the subjective, not subjective, but like the personal visual experience, right? There's no way to record.
There is. Yeah, it's just that it's very. You can look it up, or I can just send it to you. They have that for sure. They've had it for a while. They've had it for over a decade. It's not new. It's just that it's very grainy. But they can do that.
Like
now
they're your eye signals.
No, they can record from your cortex. They can show what you're thinking about on the screen.
But I'm talking about like your visuals. Like if you
right. So either depending on what part of the brain they're recording from, right? If they're gonna focus on the part responsible for the visual cortex, they will see what you see through your eyes.
Yeah. Very grainy.
Very grainy, but it's just a matter of time before they're gonna make it not grainy. If with no other way than through AI, but they're gonna be able to do it. There's no question about it. And now it's already much better than it was like a decade ago, but still pretty grainy. But very soon, I think it's just the latency is the problem. So I think now when we're gonna start playing with things like either Neuralink or things like that, I mean, it's not the only game in town. There's a lot of other competitors that are kind of doing things that are maybe not exactly the same, but definitely playing with these margins of how do you translate signals directly from the brain. I've actually met somebody in a Vipassana retreat once who wrote a paper for Nature magazine. Well, their paper that they wrote, I forget what university it was from, but it was published in Nature. Like it was very substantial, and they specialize in exactly this, which is how do you translate a brain signals to to visual. And by the way, that part of the things that is focused there is try and help people that are vegetative states, paraplegics, to see actually what is there a state there that is trying to emerge that they can't communicate. Like that's one of the functions that they're trying to. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be an entirely different kind of recording of proof, right? If you were able to document seeing the code. Right?
Oh yeah, I mean exactly. Yeah, if we can record directly from the cortex, I mean that's it. Like then you're showing something immediately you can compare. And again, even there, you will have a lot of discerning voices. Like you're gonna have people saying, well, like sorry, dissenting voices I meant to say, but like people will be like, hey, this is still you're just showing like a very, I don't know, you found a way to reproduce a hallucination. You can say that. But I think with the magnet experiment, that kind of flies out the window. And if we manage to do something with it that is applicable to the real world, I mean, at that point, that's it. Like, you don't need to prove anything else. If you can do something functionally, that's it. Like that's really the holy grail, basically.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Like change colors for items in the room. That'll be good.
Yeah. Awesome, brother. Well, dude, it's great. Thanks for having me on.
Always, man. Anytime you want.
Great catching up. I'm gonna go and
go get ready, get some rest.
Exactly. All right, dude.
Love you, brother.
Let's
talk soon.
Love you too, man.
All right.
Peace.
So the comment that I wanted to address that I saw before, because I think it is important. Dark Snid Rob is saying, the molecule beings are not insects, may be deceived by demonic entities which work to influence the mind in order to harvest your soul. Be careful, brother. Protect yourself. Always pray for Jesus first. So, first of all, I appreciate the concern. Something to be said is that when you explore the space enough, you start to understand kind of like what belongs to what, right? The insectoids do not feel demonic at all. There are demonic entities for sure. They're a separate species. So there's a lot of to say that the molecule beings are not insects is to simply illustrate that the familiarity with the space is not robust enough. So there's not you travel a little more, you'll see that there's a lot of them. There's a lot of different kinds, and there are different species that arise within the computational space. What I'm saying is that it seems pretty, at this point to me, it's pretty clear, not just by my experience, but also by many other psychonauts that are kind of exploring the space for a long time. The insectoid seems to be responsible for the functionality of our layer. So they're almost like the management company. They do not feel demonic at all. They actually, most of them are pretty loving or neutral. They just don't have the kinds of concerns for emotions that we do. Oh, the beeping stopped. See, I'm not on my final lifeline anymore. Good sign. So it goes by the way it feels. Our intuition in the same, you know how you said pray for Jesus, right? So the way that people know that Jesus is in their heart is by the way they feel, right? So they say, I feel Jesus in my heart. I feel it. I know it because I feel it. It's strong enough. Well, in the exact same way, I know because I feel it very strongly that they are not demonic at all. In fact, they care deeply about what happens to this layer of the environment. The ones that you're talking about, they exist. And it's also not that clear cut as exactly what the relationship to the full totality is, and it might not be as negative as some people would like to believe. But it's not clear to me exactly what it is, so I'm going to refrain from trying to comment on that. And but there are a lot of other ones. There's the blues that I guess some people call them, what are they called? The avians or something? I don't know enough about all these spaces. If Kirsten would be here, she would correct me. But yeah, so they're kind of like the custodians of knowledge. They're very noble. They know a lot about everything. The jesters, for example, I know that they're in between layers, so they don't really have a layer they have to be in. They come from the highest realms, but they can move between the realms. So those are the ones that I know for sure because I've interacted with them enough and I see what they do, right? And I've had so much familiarity with that space that in the same vein that people that believe in Jesus Christ say they feel they know, well, I feel I know. There's a lot of other things that I kind of suspect that maybe, but these are pretty concretely that these are the case. Now, can it all be wrong? Sure, but also you can completely be wrong about Jesus. So it belongs to the same space. I would like to also add that I have seen Jesus Christ in that space, and he was part of the picture, but it was part of a larger picture. So it was not the full picture. There was something beyond that. And so I accept that Jesus Christ is real, and I accept that, well, I want to say most likely, but I think it will be more honest to say I accept the fact that everything that is said about him in the Bible is true. but it is part of a larger picture. And I don't think the word "but" is correct. And it's a part of a larger picture that the function of that was required for the period of time that it was in, and now we're in another pivotal point in the history of humanity, and some choices will have to be made, and we will be part of it. And that's why I'm saying there's a lot that is going on, and it's not always that clear what each person should focus on. So the only thing I can say that is safe to follow, which is what you know in your heart to be true, and we all know what that is. And it's kind of hard to say. So it almost sounds like a cop out, and I know that, but it is true. Like there's a part of us that just knows what is that right thing, what is the ethical way, what is wrong, what is right. If you follow to the best of your ability in the moment, it doesn't have to be perfect, but to the best of your ability in that moment, if you can follow the thread that cares for other people, that thinks about the greater good of all, just versus just the things that you want, all of these things that I guess you would attribute to Christ consciousness. Thank you, Crystal. Yes, everything, have faith, everything is good. But to say very quickly, to demonize beings that you do not know, that is a no-no. That you should not do that. So be careful, brother. I'm telling you as well. Do not judge, in other words. Breezy saying, love you, brother. Christ found me this year. I love him and wanted the best for everyone. Absolutely. You can lead a horse to water, but he does not force one to drink. By the way, laser coming tomorrow. That's a great comment. I'm saving it. That's amazing. Wait. No. Why didn't you remove it? Oh, here it is. Hold on, I'm going to save it again. This is such a great comment. Did what? Okay. Dude. It won't do it. There you go. Saved it. Amazing. Thank you, Breezy. Forgive me, guys, if I'm skipping some of the comments, just simply because there's... I mean, Orion Maor, to each his own, brother. I think it is brother, or apologies if not, if so, sister. So to each his own. But I will tell you this. What you say counts. Be very careful. Joel say, I literally felt the inside beings yesterday on Shrooms for the first time doing it, and it was not evil. I felt like it's ancient earth spirit. To me, they look more technological and advanced. It doesn't feel earthy, but it might be that there's also some of them that are kind of off here, like with that essence. I do not rule this out at all. Rolling with the nuts after all. Would love to see different tests on this. Location laser. I mean, working on it. I'm working on it. Mantis aren't interdimensional. I think they are, actually. The inside being was healing parts of my felt like it was ripping me apart, but with my permission. Yeah. Thank you so much for the likes, guys. I appreciate you. Across all the platforms, if you feel called, if you want to click that like button, it helps tremendously. Even if you think that one instance of you doing it will not matter, it will. The algorithms really, really, really like that. So if you don't mind, it will be deeply appreciated if you click on that like button. the cross platforms, YouTube as well, and Twitch and X. These entities are all traveling with conscious interface. When people is having light body, it's not losing our physical bodies when you alter your belief system and master hemisphere. Interesting. I code and know that some parts are hard-coded and unchangeable. The learning aspects, which involves gaining experience and learning from it, essentially defines machine learning, Cohn's Winslet said. So I guess, but you can change the weights, right? And if the AI can change its own weights in a better way than we can, which wasn't this just achieved literally a few days ago? I'm not an expert. I'm just asking. But I feel like this is where you kind of start playing with true universality there. Next thing Rob is saying, thank you, brother. I understand what you meant before about how they create the layer. I just want you all to be safe, as the discovery is super interesting. We need your mind intact. Much love. Yeah, I know it came from love, and I appreciate it. I'm just saying we have to be, we have to stay as neutral as possible. But I appreciate you. I really do. I know it comes from a good place. I feel that, and that's very important that we follow that. Life and death lies within the tongue. That's some stuff from the Torah. Absolutely. If you look at their Semitic mathematical breakdown, they relate very closely to the laser code. Which one, Baram? The codes have to be related with vibration of baryons and mesons and quarks. I mean, sure, yes, I would agree with that ultimately. But how are we going to go about actually measuring that, though? That's a whole other story. Thank you for the likes, guys. I appreciate you. I'm believing that was a reference to a podcaster. Oh, I see. All right. I'm glad. Wow. All right. I'm having a blast. By the way, this thing I can report now with confidence that it feels really nice in the body. I'm trying all kinds of things. So I started taking methylene blue recently. Again, this is not a medical advice, and I'm not, I'm just reporting what I'm reporting. But some people recommended it. I was very skeptical. I tried it, and I have to say, I think I feel a difference after a month. So I ordered this other company, this one, and they also have these. This is not, I'm not sponsored or anything like this. I'm just literally telling you what I'm experiencing. So this one apparently is like the same company that makes some of these methylene blue products, but this one is for like calming. There's no methylene blue in this. And what I tried is a quarter of this one, just to see what it feels like. Let me pull it out. There you go. And they come in quarters like this. So feels good. Did a quarter. Feels really calm and nice in the body. I think you guys also noticed it, right? My energy kind of shifted. I was a little on edge today. And my energy kind of went down a little bit in a good way. So far, success. I would say that's kind of nice if you want to try. Again, this is not sponsorship or anything. It feels good, so I want to share. It's called Trocom by. This is the product. It's basically like a calming. It's like CBD. It's some natural things. There's nothing chemical in this, as far as I can see. Let's see if they're gonna flag us for saying these 3 letters. It's crazy. But in any case, this is also a company that makes these lozenges of methylene blue. Methylene blue is basically a very powerful antioxidant. It also apparently it's supposed to go into the cell level and gives you energy from the cell, like to literally help the cell metabolize, add more ATP, and it's also powered by photons. So like if you expose yourself to the sun, it's supposed to do some extra stuff. Anyways, stuff that usually I would think like just sounds way crazy, but even what's his face? Why am I spacing on his name? The really famous neuroscientist that does all the health advice. Come on, really famous at this point. Wow. Tip on my tongue. Come on, somebody help me. What's his name? Huberman, right? Even he, no, not Andrew. Thank you for that, Daniel. Andrew Huberman, even he had somebody on this show talking about this. Methylene blue, look it up, methylene blue. So, because there's a lot of different products with it. This is just one company that makes some of these. So you can look it up and you can do your market research. But apparently, it's supposed to do something to the basic energetic level, and it doesn't feel like a coffee or anything like this. So you don't feel like energized in the body. It's more like the natural energy you had when you were a kid comes back. You just kind of like, oh, like you feel very like on it and really, really nice. It is, fair warning, it is a light MAOI. So there's a lot of medications and things that you cannot take with it. So got to be very careful. Okay. Read. This is not a medical advice. I'm just reporting to you what kind of worked for me a little bit, and it's kind of nice. But some people literally cured, like Chase Hughes is the one that told me about this originally. And he cured, he had a severe case um, of temporal lobe seizures for years, where he would get these uh, 4 to 9 seizures a day. And each one of those seizures would last like 30 seconds. And in these 30 seconds, he would live a separate life of somebody else. He would be somebody else for like 4 or 5 years. So imagine living extra 5 years, 9 times a day for years. He almost lost his mind. Like, I don't know how he didn't lose his mind. He didn't know what was real anymore. And he started taking this stuff and he cured it. Like, it just went away. And he's not the only one. A lot of people swear by this thing. Now, again, fair warning, you cannot take like CoQ10 with it. You cannot take certain medications. You can't take Allegra D with it. You cannot take a lot of things. You got to read. Okay, very important, because it can create some serious health conditions. But it's essentially a dye, right? So again, you should just read up on it. But all I'm saying is, I tried it for like a month. It seems to be working. Like, it seems to be doing something for sure. So you should definitely try it out if you feel like you have low energies or whatever. And then just search that's the name of the molecule. Methylene blue is the name of the general thing. And there's a lot of companies that make it. So I'm not going to recommend any particular company, but just look it up and see what the customer reviews say. But it seemed that it's working wonders for people. So yeah, I would highly recommend you at least read about it. Methylene blue. Let's see if I can spell it here. Again, super important you guys know. I am not a doctor. Is that it kind of works for me. Well, my computer got stuck a little bit. Why is it getting stuck right now? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. Okay, that's what happened. It was like a glitch with the internet. So, anyways, this is how you spell this. And this is just the general name, the generic name of the thing. And then you can just look it up and then see all the companies. I never tried the drops. I never tried anything. It's just the lozenges. See if I can put it here. Again, guys, read. There's some health dangers if you mix it with certain things. Read. Make sure you read. How are you, brother? Try eating 14 grams of shrooms. I mean, that's one way to go for sure. Looney Crow saying it's used as dye and medical use to treat methemoglobinemia by chemical reducing the ferric iron in hemoglobin to ferrous iron. So I don't know what any of this means. Sounds very medical. Thank you for that, Looney Crow. But sounds like you know what you're talking about. There you go. They restricted us. This is the thing that made us restrict us. This is amazing. This is amazing. Wow, TikTok, you're doing great. That is crazy. That is crazy. Everybody, just so you understand, because I put these words in TikTok, that's what restricted us on TikTok. Crazy. Okay. In any case, censor talk. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not so sure about that. Owl. It doesn't. At least experientially, the experience is very different. So, like, I wouldn't go as far as to say that I would say with confidence that they produce a similar effect. Now, they are very similar in some presentation in the beginning, but not after a certain amount. And hey, Kirsten, good to see you. Unfortunately, I'm leaving in a moment, but I'm so glad that you're here. This alone is why it needs to change hands. Yeah. How are you, Kirsten? Yeah, no, I agree with that. Ocean mobile for the. Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, 30 grams dried. Yeah, I never done 30. I've done 21. I've had experiences on shrooms that are basically kind of like the spirit molecule for 5 hours, 6 hours for sure. But I still prefer, well, at least if I'm going that route, I would prefer to use they already restricted us, so I don't care. The 4-ACO. 4-ACO is by far my favorite. That's, the synthetic mushrooms, basically. And that I find to be the most pristine, beautiful experience, kind of the perfect middle ground between mushrooms and the spirit molecule. The shift is happening. Indeed, it does. All right, guys. I'm actually having a blast, but unfortunately, I have to jump off because it's getting late and I do have to get some sleep. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. If you want to follow me across platforms, it would be Danny Goller on TikTok and on Instagram, Goller Danny on X, LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. I recently ended a membership program on YouTube that a lot of people joined, and a lot of people were donated memberships by incredible people like Ebony and by Ben. And it allows you to both get early access content to content that I'm releasing, as well as Zoom calls with me, with other members of the group, and even private ones depending on the tier. And it helps me to focus on this project more full time. I deeply appreciate all the members already joined. And and weekly lives aside from the daily lives, just for members, which, by the way, we're gonna have one tomorrow, and then we're gonna have 2 more the week after that. So I deeply appreciate and I'm adding more things like stuff on my personal life. The website for the protocol, the lasers, and all the other good stuff is Dango Thoughts. Oh my God. I'm going to take this again. The website for the protocol, the lasers, and everything else is codeofreality.com, codeofreality.com. And there you also have my email that is listed. Thank you so much for everybody for being a part of this community, and that is growing all the time. And I love the kinds of people that are joining. Great things to come, and very exciting ones as well. Appreciate you all. See you tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao. See you guys. Have a good night. Much love.